Welcome, everybody, to the Oklahoma Drill podcast. This week is the long-awaited running back positional preview. It's going to be, in my opinion, one of our most fun shows we are going to do. Go through every running back on the Jets roster, as well as some players who could be featured in the backfield anyway, break them down, show off their fits in the system, projections for the year, the whole 9 yards. We are going to get right into it with the Jets' new rookie running back, and I think the guy we're all expecting to be the lead dog this season, and that is Michael Carter, the new guy from North Carolina. Carter is 5'8", about 200 pounds. So he's got that squatty build, low center of gravity, really quick, really good change of direction. Absolutely dominated at North Carolina last year with Devontae Williams. Averaged 12.8 yards per carry in his last game in Miami when he had 308 rushing yards. 12.8 yards per carry in a 300-yard game. Finished the season with 8 yards a carry. Had no business being available in the fourth round. And I think overall, when you look at his skill set, he is just the ideal fit for the wide zone system. His vision is fantastic. His balance, his ability to change direction on a dime, make the one leg cut and get upfield. He is just perfect. His burst, he can be used as a receiver, as we've seen in OTAs with the one-handed catch. I don't know if you guys saw that highlight, but that was pretty dang impressive to me. One-handed catch towards the sideline. Yeah, catch it and keep running. He could be featured in the passing game if he gets the opportunities to. I really think he has the skill set for it. And it's just, I could not be happier with this pick. It was a little surprising when it happened because I think a lot of people weren't expecting him to be there or the Jets to take a running back that soon. But I think this is just the perfect example of a premium talent at a position of need that fits your scheme like a glove, is available when they shouldn't be. You can't pass on that guy. And so I think taking Michael Carter at the top of the fourth round was an absolutely stellar move. I think it's not going to be long before he establishes himself as the Jets' go-to running back. I think they're going to be a stable, because I think all Shanahan teams eventually are. They don't really like running anybody into the ground, but he's going to be the guy taking the lion's share of carries by the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, we talked about in our running back episode that we would take Tevin Hawkins in the fifth round. And Tevin Hawkins is basically the poor man's Michael Carter.
Yep.
And we got Michael Carter in the fourth. And Michael Carter is that guy that I think will play for about 50% of the snaps. And if he can develop as a reliable pass catcher, this offense can just take off. Because I was thinking about before the draft that we're going to run the ball with Ty Johnson and throw the ball to Tevin Coleman, right? And if Michael Carter can do both effectively, everything's going to look better for us because as we talked in the other episode, these offenses, like everything looks the same until it doesn't. And if Michael Carter can be a good pass catcher and be the good runner that we all know that he is, things are looking good.
I was definitely one of the people that was surprised that he would be there in the fourth round. I had a second round grade on him. So yeah, I was jumping for joy when we actually got the chance to get him. Yeah, he's just so valuable and efficient in so many different things. I wouldn't even mind having him in pass protection. I think he can even make a name for himself there. Him and Coleman, I think, are two of the better pass protectors on this team. There's so much you can use him for. And it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. But like you said, it's going to be a stable of guys. And we definitely have a talented group here that does a lot of different things. So we don't really need him to do everything, although it's nice that he can. And he'll probably be asked to do a little of everything from here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just like we talked about last week with our tight end episode about how the guys that are the most versatile are probably going to get the most playing time because it allows the plays to look the same and you don't have a tell for pass or run. That's going to be Michael Carter, where I think more so than anybody on the team is the guy that they absolutely could feed the ball to or design a pass for. And you have to be equally as, questioning as a defense if it's going to be a run or pass, and creating hesitation on defense is all this system is about. And it helps if we're going to talk about Tevin Coleman next, but staying on Michael Carter, where Michael Carter can very much be your go-to running back and a threat in the passing game. Tevin Coleman, while he's very good as a runner, his success throughout history has actually been really more as a slot receiver. And it's a little more evident when Tevin Coleman's on the field that teams might be passing than if they might be running. Michael Carter, they're not going to know what's going to hit him. And that's a huge advantage to him.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely gonna open some eyes. He's already opened a lot of eyes in minicamp. I can only imagine it's going to continue.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he could be one of the best rookie running backs in the NFL this year. Like take him just as productive as the guys drafted in the first round. I mean, he's in a perfect system that has gotten better on the offensive line, better on their coaching staff, and better on their scheme and play design, and a team that was jumping for joy for him to be available when he was. That just sounds like a recipe for success to me. And I think Michael Carter, not that I'm ever a fantasy guy, but if you play fantasy and you play in a PPR league, I would look into Michael Carter because he might be a good stash in a late round. That's going to take us to the next guy, another guy that's been a fantasy stud throughout most of his career, and that's Tevin Coleman. Vitor, take it away on Tevin Coleman.
Well, Tevin Coleman is the running back that LaFleur brought with him to be the guy that knows his system and is his insurance guy. Coleman can run. Last year was the worst year of Coleman's career. In fact, he had 28 carries for 53 yards, 1.9 yards per carry. That's not good. But before that, Coleman never had less than 4 yards per carry. He's an explosive back. He usually runs when the offense is in like lighter formations. One tight end's out of the gun. They use Coleman to be that change of pace back, and I think he can be that in New York. And the thing about Coleman, Michael Nania wrote a piece for Jet X Factor, and I wrote that if the Jets want to go 21 personnel with Coleman in the slot, they're going to get some good mismatches because Coleman is a great player when he is split it out as the slot receiver. He's a good route runner. He has good hands, and he's awesome after the catch. He can break some tackles. He's usually faster than defensive players. So, this group is a talented group, and it's hard to predict what each guy will do. But I think Coleman will be the Jets' go-to third down back. If he shows, and it looks like that he is back to form, he's going to be the Jets' third down back. He's going to be used as a pass catcher and that change of pace runner. When you go with lighter formations, defense is expecting pass, and you just run an inside zone, a draw with Tevin Coleman. I really like Coleman signing, great value, as it has been the common thing with everything Joe Douglas has done for the Jets. And, like to hear your thoughts, guys. What do you think?
So, yeah, he did have a pretty bad year last year, but I feel like that's mostly due to injuries. He did have a patella sprain. He also had a shoulder dislocation. So I kind of understand how he never really got things going. But he's another guy that just does so much so well. And the fact that he has so much third down potential kind of puts him ahead of one of my favorite guys, Ty Johnson, just for that reason. I feel like on third down, when he's not running the ball or not being a receiver, he will be asked to protect Zach Wilson. And just that role alone makes him extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his time in the slot and the things he's done when used as a slot receiver is like legitimately eye-opening. I mean, he is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL out of the slot, point blank, period, and has been for most of his career. And it's going to be very, very, very useful for the Jets to be able to start in a formation that potentially looks like it's not going to be a passing set and split Coleman out into that slot and get an extra receiver that's just as capable. And I completely agree with you guys. I think his experience in that role, especially in pass protection, especially as a slot receiver and as a backup running back behind Michael Carter, I think he's the perfect fit for it. He knows the system already, which is huge. And all he's done throughout his career basically is play in this system and thrive in it. There's a reason that Shanahan guys keep going after Tevin Coleman because he just works in the system and he knows it forwards, backwards, and sideways. And I think he's absolutely the quote unquote number 2 running back and / third down back for sure.
And Coleman is only 27, right? So he's our older back, but his is too young. He has 3 more years until he gets to 29, 30. Yep.
I believe he's 28, actually.
Really? I thought it was 27. Anyway, he's still 2 or 3 years away from 30.
Right.
So if it works out this year, you can bring him back, with and get some continuity with this running back room, because Brian's going to come back, Michael Carter's going to come back, Ty Johnson's going to come back, and it's also good for a guy like Zach Wilson. He's going to have the same guys over and over for him. He knows that Tevin Coleman will be a pass catcher, so developing this chemistry will be good.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman is 28. However, he turned 28 on April 16th, so he has not been 28 for long.
Fresh to the 28 game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he can certainly play his way into another small contract with the team and find himself in the same role that he's been playing and will play this year again, and be perfectly happy with it. I think the Jets will be glad to have him back. I mean, we'll see how he is, but I expect nothing but solid play as the number 2 running back from Tevin Coleman.
I mean, he's never been a bell cow, so he doesn't really have a lot of tread on. The tread on those tires are still good, so I'm not worried about that. And in this system, like we've said already, probably multiple times, that's going to be running back by committee, and so I have no problem with him taking a good amount of snaps.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to go to the next guy on the list. That's Ty Johnson. Is he the longest tenured Jets running back right now?
Wow. I guess he is. Yeah.
The whole room. I think he's been, if you factor, because he was on the practice squad for a little bit, if I'm remembering correctly. He was on the Lions. And then was he
was on the Lions
roster
in 2019, and then 2020 he was also on the Lions. So actually, no,
addition, I believe
he was. So I think that would make Perine and Adams a little bit more tenured than him. But you know what? Johnson, like many of the young Jets running backs, he struggled to find playing time under Adam Gase. In the case of Ty Johnson, that's borderline criminal. His potential hasn't even begun to be tapped. Johnson, like I said, came here by way of Detroit, where he was mostly used in a gap scheme. In his limited amount of snaps under Gase, we were able to see how valuable he could be in his zone scheme. Johnson's biggest asset is his speed and burst. It can't be discounted how beneficial it is to have somebody with the speed potentially take it to the house on any carry. This, in conjunction with his vision, is what makes him a great fit. Before the draft, if I had to guess who was going to pull ahead as maybe our lead back or maybe 1A, 1B, it would have been Johnson and Coleman. I would have volunteered Johnson's name right away to be the top guy. Since getting Carter, that role will definitely change. I see a lot of Raheem Mostert in his game. They're both burners who make their money before contact. They're both decisive and have great vision. They see their path to attack and explode through it. Unlike Mostert, Johnson can stand to build a little bit more lower body strength, so he can run through tackles. He averages a pedestrian 2.4 yards after contact. I wish we were able to see Johnson as a receiver a little bit more. He showed some good transitions from receiver to runner, but I want to see him in a little bit more of a route running role outside of just screens. Like we said, Carter's probably going to be the primary back, and he's definitely going to fight for some snaps. I see Coleman sort of streaking ahead of him just because of that third down value. But Johnson's skill set is just hard to keep off the field. That speed is dangerous. I hope he gets a good amount so we can actually see him this year, unlike last year. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he fits well as the running back 3 and the running back by committee. And like you're saying, with his burst and his speed, that's his calling card. And when you get towards the end of the game, you get going into the fourth quarter, and you need a guy to get the edge on a toss play, and the defense is tired, and Ty Johnson has fresh legs, it's a lot harder for those defenders to catch up to a guy who's already fast outright. If they're going to be tired from chasing Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman around all day, that's just going to make it even more difficult. And I think that's when you're going to see Ty Johnson is going to be the guy that comes in every now and again and just rips off a chunk play or two. And that's all he needs to do for that game, is just take a handful of carries, and once he gets his crease, make the most out of it. And he's what we saw last year is that when he gets the opportunity to do that, he's pretty dang effective. despite the Jets offense being figured out by any team they faced, they knew what calls were coming regardless of anything. He was still able to be effective. He had a 100-yard game under Adam Gase. I mean, that says everything.
Yep. The way that you create big plays in this offense on a ground game is cutting back. Always cutting back when the room is there. And Ty Johnson is a great cutbacker. He has that vision, he knows when to read the offensive line's butt and just cut back. So I could see Ty Johnson getting some big plays while Michael Carter handles the majority of the load. You get Johnson, as Andrew said, fresh in the third or fourth quarter. He gets a carry, finds the room, and just cuts back because he can do it and just accelerate. He can be a guy that is your ideal third running back. To try to compare with the 49ers, let's say Michael Carter has Bolster's role, Tevin Coleman is Tevin Coleman, and Ty Johnson is Jeff
Matt
Wilson.
Breida or Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, Matt Breida or Jeff Wilson. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it. He's that guy. Matt Breida is even better because the guy had some explosive plays in San Francisco in thirds or fourth quarters just by cutting back. And Ty Johnson, I watched his tape. He is a great cutbacker. He's always looking for the cutback, even more than you would like. Sometimes we just wish he would take the edge and get some yards. But I could see Ty Johnson getting some big plays for the Jets by cutting back. He's a good guy to do.
There's a recent clip of Saul and him talking where Saul says, everything you do, everything that you do well fits perfectly with what we're about to do. And I couldn't agree more. He was a perfect fit before the draft. He's a perfect fit now. He's definitely going to open some eyes in the limited role that he has. And if there are any injuries, God forbid, I think he can step in and have a bigger role.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. And speaking of that scenario, I'm going to combine what both of you guys have just said recently, and it's injuries and stepping up into a bigger role and producing as the third running back for a San Francisco team. I was watching some San Francisco tape for a piece I'm doing on Mekhi Becton that's coming up soon. And I was watching their game against Arizona because they absolutely torched them on the ground. Jeff Wilson, as a backup running back against the Arizona Cardinals in Week 16, had 184 yards rushing because he got his opportunities in this system. And just like Ty Johnson and just like Matt Breida and just like Raheem Mostert and just like Michael Carter and just like Tevin Coleman, has great vision, is able to make a good cut, make a cut back, get upfield, accelerate through the hole, and after that, it's a track meet. You just have to have the vision, the timing, the pacing, and the understanding of the system to know where your gaps are going to be able to go. And then the second reaction ability once the ball is actually snapped. This scheme will get you open. After that, it's up to you to see what you do with it. And I think Ty Johnson could be one of those guys that in a random Week 14 matchup, I don't even know who they play Week 14, so not specifically, but sometime like that late in the year where Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman are starting to get a little worn down from the season, Ty Johnson comes out and has a random giant game out of nowhere. And everyone goes, oh, Ty Johnson, we still have Ty Johnson. We forgot about him. Don't, because this is just going to be a stable of fast, explosive guys coming at you from every angle. All right. Well, moving on from Ty Johnson, that is going to lead us to the next back on the list. That is Josh Adams, the fourth string. I guess you could say fourth string. He's kind of tied with Michael Perine, but we'll get into what we think about that. We've talked about before. Personally, I'm in the camp that Perine isn't quite going to be a guy that's going to get on this roster. I think Josh Adams is going to take his spot, and that's where I'm going to talk about him right now. He only had 29 carries last season, didn't get a lot of action behind Frank Gore and Ty Johnson. Not anybody got a lot of action behind Frank Gore, but what are you going to do when Adam Gase is your head coach? But in his 29 carries, he did have 129 yards on the season, averaged over 5 yards a carry. Biggest game of the year was in Week 13 against the Raiders. He had 8 for 74, had a long rush of 25 yards. I believe Frank Gore was out for that game, and it was the Jets' best rushing game of the season. Funny how those two things are correlated. But Josh Adams, he's unlike every other guy we've talked about today. He is quintessentially your power back. He is a lot bigger. He's 6'2", about 220, and he's not a plotter. He's not necessarily slow, but no one is going to sit here and ever call him fast, and that's not the main aspect of his game. His aspect is get up to speed as quick as you can and then make it really hard to bring down 6'2", 220. And I think he's going to type of guy that is really, really good for the role that he's going to carry. Is just sometimes at the end of the day, when teams are going to be tired of chasing around all these fast guys to the edges, you need a guy that can put his nose down and fight for some tough yards in the fourth quarter to grind out games. That's where I think Josh Adams is going to be at his best. I think he's going to be the hammer that finishes things off, and could also be really well utilized in goal line formations. I think he's a valuable piece. I think he's better than he gets credit for. I think he's just been, I don't think he's gotten, quite honestly, the chance he deserves anywhere he's been. And I think I'm really glad they re-signed him. I think it'll be interesting to see between him and Perine when they battle it out, who is going to get the fourth spot if they keep 5 backs and how that shakes out. But I'm firmly in the Josh Adams fan club. I really think this guy is better than he gets credit for.
I agree. Yeah. There's absolutely nobody else on this team that I trust more in short yardage than Josh Adams. He's got the prototypical size for it, and it shows. And he's not, like you said, he's not just a power back. He's also got some quickness in his feet, and it shows in his cutting ability. And I think it's going to work well in a zone heavy offense.
Yeah, Josh Adams, he ran a 4.48 40 before going to the NFL. And when you look at the tape against the Oakland Raiders, you'll see Josh Adams just murdering the Raiders on the outside zone. He's big, he's strong, but he's also, I won't say fast, but he's not a liability when they're running outside.
He can be explosive.
Yeah. And he's hard to bring down when he gets going, because he's so big. And that's the point here. You're talking about keeping the fourth running back. It's Josh Adams who can win you yards when the D-line is crowding up the inside, and is also a guy that can run your scheme and not be a liability, or like Michael Perine that can do a little bit of everything, but he's not great at anything. We're going to have a great receiving back in Tevin Coleman, a great duel that will be probably your 1-2 punch on early downs in Ty Johnson and Michael Carter. And I'm with you, Andrew, here. If Michael Perine doesn't show a great improvement in training camp, he may get cut. Things got tough here because he was a 4th-round pick by Joe Douglas, and no general manager wants to see his own 4th-round pick get cut in his second year. But Joe Douglas is also a guy that believes in competition, believes in Robert Saleh picking up his roster. So I could definitely see Perine getting cut for Josh Adams.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Perine next. I think that's a really solid transition, because I think the conversation with both of them, they're really tightly grouped, because I really do think they're fighting for the same roster spot. And if you compare it transitioning to Michael Perine, Matt's going to cover him. But I agree with what you guys said, that there's no one I trust more in short yardage. I think he can be more explosive than he gets credit for. I think Perine probably has the edge on him as a receiver, but that I think can be worked upon. And I think we have enough guys that can be quality receivers to where it's not necessarily the aspect. But let's go into Michael Perine, because he deserves his chance and his breakdown as well, just as anybody else. He is still a second-year player. He was, he's still young. He's still got plenty of tread left on the tires. He wasn't bad in his time. We just like the other guys they have too.
Absolutely. I mean, Perine has been dealt a pretty tough hand for his rookie season. Mm-hmm. First, he got stuck with Adam Gase. Then he had to deal with injuries, and the results were underwhelming. But yeah, he's a 4th-round pick, but those results that first year were not impressive at all. And I was a big fan of Perine coming out of Florida. He was a jack of all trades down in the swamp. If he needed power, he offered power. He was there to get physical. If he needed someone to stay in on pass protection, he was ready to square up with the defender. If he needed somebody reliable with hands out of the backfield, he had soft mitts that were more than welcoming. The appeal was there, and I really didn't mind the pick at all. Flash forward to now, and I hate to say it, but I don't think he'll be on the final roster either. We have talked about this before with Perine. Where does he fit on this team? Yes, he does everything pretty well. He's well-rounded, but is he really that good at anything that deserves a roster spot over anybody else? If we need power, like we just said, let's just go with Josh Adams. We don't trust anybody else as much as him. If we need speed to the outside, Carter and Johnson, and even Coleman are probably the obvious choices there. If we need somebody in on pass protection, Coleman and Carter, again, they're much better at this. And we're going to need to keep Zach Wilson upright. So I'm going to want the best guys in there protecting him. Coming out of the backfield, Carter and Johnson and Coleman again are better receiving options. Again, he's just not in the top two in really any aspect. And now it would be horrible to let a fourth rounder leave after one season, but roster spots are at a premium. Keeping 5 running backs and a fullback is just a little far-fetched to me. Yep. Now, the only thing I can maybe see happening, but maybe not, is what if we cut him and try to put him on the practice squad? Do you guys think that he would clear waivers?
I think someone would pick him up.
Yeah, I kind of lean towards that too, and not because I think. And I'm gonna go off on more on this in a second. It's not that I don't think that he is the type of player that could be a practice squad caliber player. It's that I think running backs, especially now, age and youth and tread on the tires is so important that because he's a second year running back, that a team might pick him up just to make him their RB3 because he's going to be able to have fresher legs. And, maybe they liked him coming out too. We could give him a shot. I just don't see a second round or a second year, fourth round running back clearing waivers if he were to be put on the practice squad outright. I think it's not that, again, it's less about LaMichael Perine and his skill set and more about what else the Jets specifically have.
Yeah. I'll make a point here about keeping Perine on the roster. Let's say the Jets are not thinking strictly 2021 and they want to think long term. Tevin Coleman is in a 1-year deal. Mm-hmm. So maybe the Jets work out on Perine, let him be Coleman's backup this year, the receiving backup, the third down running backup. And then next year, when Coleman's gone, they maybe work out Perine explosiveness. You cannot teach speed, but you can teach explosiveness, I think. Mm-hmm. You can work on it. And maybe next year, Perine plays the role of Tevin Coleman. Maybe that's why the Jets signed Coleman, because they don't think Perine is ready. I know that he was basically a pro-ready prospect coming out of Florida. But maybe the Jets feel they can work the guy on this coaching staff. They signed Tevin Coleman as insurance. And then next year, when Coleman hits free agency at 29, they make LaMichael Perine the receiving back. Maybe this is a way for the Jets to get him on the roster. And they use Devin Wesco as the short yardage runner,
I can see that.
I could see it too. And I actually, I want to kind of expand on that because it was a point I was going to make about Perine going back to his skill set. I actually think he's the second best receiving back on the team. Right now, in terms of just overall talent, I think there's guys with more potential as receivers than him. I think Michael Carter's potential as a receiver in particular is really, 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 really good. But he isn't quite as developed as Perine. And Perine was really, really developed as a receiver coming out. He ran a handful of routes. He's really nice, soft, comfortable hands. He knows how to sit in holes and zones. And I think that certainly could help him. And I think if there is for him to be a role, I think it is as the backup receiving back. And if we're talking like we keep talking about what's his skill, what's the one thing that he does, I think that could be it. Again, I don't know if the other guys we have on the roster, I think their potential to get better as a receivers can overtake the importance of LaMichael Perine. But right now, I think it could be a valuable skill that keeps him on the roster. Will it? I don't know, but I think it's possible.
Yep, right now. I feel like that could change very quickly.
Agreed.
Carter could show a lot during camp, and all of a sudden, nobody's thinking about Perine for that role anymore.
Agreed.
Even Johnson. Johnson could even show a little bit more in the receiving area and outshine him.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's Perine has all the technical stuff that the other guys don't, but if they can get that technical stuff down, they have the explosion and the agility to be that much more dangerous. And that's why you're looking to see if Carter and Johnson can round out that part of their games to where we kind of don't need LaMichael Perine. And it's I don't want to say it's sad, but it's sad for him as a player. I hope nothing but the best for him in the future, his career with the Jets or otherwise. It's not as so much about him as just the other talent on the team. And I think that overall it speaks to the Jets have a really solid running back room.
Yeah,
they really do. And even when you take the running back depth out of the picture, then you have Moore, who's also going to take snaps in the backfield. So it's going to be very crowded, and we need the best in every area to stay put and get rid of and trim the fat a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's going to be the last thing we're going to talk about is going to be Elijah Moore, his use in the backfield, jet motion, and just a continuation of everything we've been talking about before Elijah Moore was drafted and even more. Vitor has been our resident jet motion analyst extraordinaire. So I'm going to pass it off to him and let him break down Elijah Moore out of the backfield.
Yeah, everyone has heard that the Jets who go with the jet motion, jet sweep to run the football, and Elijah Moore is a perfect fit at it. Yes, he is. But, I see it as a big plus right now because the Jets don't have the personnel to run 21 and 12 all the time like the 49ers did. The Niners did run 12 and 21 more than other teams in the league, and the Jets don't have, at least right now, you don't think the Jets have two great tight ends in Hurd and Kraft. Wesco is not a guy that I think will be trusted with over 30%, 25% of the snaps. So you need some misdirection to run the wide zone out of gun, out of 11. And when you bring in Elijah Moore, you can use him in the backfield, you can motion him out. Linebackers will be freeze, and he's going to be an integral part of this running game, even when he's not touching the football, because he's going to open up so many lanes for this team. And, the way that Shanahan and LaFleur, they utilize Deebo Samuel in his rookie year, Samuel had like over 150 yards on the ground. Big part of his over 700 yards catching the football came on jet motions. And this is going to be more. And the thing about Moore is that he can do so much more when lined up as a wide receiver than Deebo Samuel. That's scary, Yeah. So I could see, honestly, Elijah Moore being in the top 3 in rushing yards for the Jets this season. More yards than Tevin Coleman, who I view more as a receiving guy out of mismatches when the Jets go 21 personnel. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, Elijah Moore, he's going to surprise a lot of people, or like maybe over 300 yards on the ground already in his rookie season. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he had that. I think that's right around where I have him pegged, around 300 yards. And having a weapon like him is huge. The amount of, like you said, like the amount of things that we can now do and opens up everybody else. We talked about tight ends last week and how their production is pretty much going to have to be schemed. And so much attention is going to be on our weapons outside and also more wherever he's lined up. And him coming out of the backfield is going to open up so much for everybody. I love it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it too. And we've talked about it for months now. It was the missing key to the Jets offense, that when they were adopting the Shanahan scheme, when they were bringing over, that was going to be, they're running that scheme. And it was, at first we thought, is it going to be a hybrid of a handful of different places? And now it seems like it's going to be Shanahan out of 11 is basically the Jets offense. And they needed that jet motion guy. They needed that guy that can influence linebackers on sweeps. They needed that guy that can just be another person to watch out for the edges. It's going to influence play action. It opens up so many other plays that you can build off of it. And on top of that, just Elijah Moore's flexibility as a player, the option to come out and empty and spread the field and get a team into a light set and motion Elijah Moore into the backfield and give him a handoff on a light set is invaluable to an offense.
Yep.
The mismatches that you can create with a guy that is that versatile at anything he does is really important. And this is something interesting I learned about Elijah Moore just a little bit ago. He played running back his entire life until like his last 2 years of high school. And then he switched to wide receiver. And you can totally see it in his play. When he gets the ball in his hands, he immediately transitions from receiver to runner. And it's just one fluid motion for him. He has no problems coming out the backfield, taking a carry, running through the tackles. I mean, whatever you want this guy to do, he'll do it. And it's going to help literally every single other player on the offense.
Yeah. I could see a lot of split backfield with Elijah in the backfield, the Jets running outside zone, Elijah just bubbling out to the backside, and Zach can decide. Does it have a light box? Give it out on the run. If the defense crashes down, just throw the bubble and let Elijah Moore pick up extra yards, because that's what a guy like Moore gives you. If he's in the backfield, he's a mix of running back, receiver that defenses you need to account for. This will open up so many rushing lanes for the Jets. He is going to be a part of this running back room.
I just had the picture in my head of play action to Carter, pump fake the to the flats to Moore, and then hit that 9 route with Mims.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you could do.
Yeah. And then the next drive, you come back and you let Elijah Moore go on the jet motion and he goes past, and then it's a throwback wheel. And then he's uncovered because now they're watching Denzel Mims deep. Or you call a running play and you fake the jet motion and the linebackers stand completely flat-footed because they're worried about Moore on the jet motion, and Michael Carter goes to the edge and it's a big game. This is why we talked about this so much for so long, because it was this important. It was arguably the most important piece to the Jets offense they didn't have when they hired their coaching staff and they started to decide they're going to run this scheme. This was what they needed more than any other piece. And I think, quite honestly, they got the best player to run it in the entire draft.
Yep.
If LaFleur is even half of what he's built to be, I think he's going to do wonderful things with this offense.
Yeah. And the early returns are evident. I mean, all we've heard has just been nothing but superstar early returns from Elijah Moore. I mean, it's better than we could have expected. And the expectations were already high. People have been singing this kid's praises the entire draft process, saying he was nailing interviews. His workouts were great. The tape, he's just carving dudes up everywhere, left and right. And it's been nothing but the same thing. This could end up being one of Joe Douglas's best draft picks.
What makes a player great, when he has all the physical traits and he is just good, is like the mental part. And it looks like Elijah Moore just wants to be great. He just likes to work hard. He likes to do the right thing. And that's going to make all the difference. He has that mentality, right?
Let me pose this question to you guys. Who do you think has more rushing yards? Moore, Adams, or Zach Wilson?
Oh, that's Elijah. A good one. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think Zach Wilson's second.
Yeah.
Let's see. Even last year, Sam had about 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Adams, like even 70 of those were against Denver on that crazy scramble. But
yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
True.
And Adams, even in his limited role, had 157. So if we're pegging more at 300,
yeah, I think Elijah. Yeah,
I could see Wilson at like 210.
Yeah, I can see that. I just don't think they're going to want to use him as a runner as much.
No, that'll be the 210, and it'll like 140 of it will be I ran the bootleg and everyone was covered, so I ran for 12 yards.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Jets are going to have a great running offense, and it's what they want to do first and foremost. I think this is a really good way to end the show, is just talking. Let's look at the run offense as a whole. We've talked about all the players in it. They want to run the ball. That is the bedrock of this system. It's always been the bedrock of this system. Michael LaFleur said it himself. If you guys watched Flight 2021, which I'm sure you all did, run the ball to set up the big play off the play action pass. At its core principle, that is the system. Everything else around it is, based off that one core principle. And the Jets have done a really good job of making sure that they are going to be able to run the ball this season. Adding Morgan Moses, adding Michael Carter, adding Elijah Moore, Tevin Coleman. They have invested in making sure that they can run the ball.
Morgan Moses is all about that.
Yeah.
Morgan Moses getting signed is all about that, because running game for an offensive line, Fant can be great in the system. He is athletic, all of that. But running the football, when you're run blocking as an O-lineman, you need to have that dog mentality. I didn't see it on Fant, and I see it every snap with Morgan Moses. He just wants to beat the guy that's in front of him. And that's the kind of guy you want. No matter you're running power, gap, outside zone, inside zone, Morgan Moses is going to try to bring the guy in front of him down. And that's all about, it's the mentality, and he's going to
100%.
Get that mentality to Elijah Tucker, to Mekhi Becton. He's going to be a great influence. I really, I was like, okay, Morgan Moses, I like Fant. But now after sitting on this signing for a couple of days, I was like, this is just a great sign, Morgan Moses. He's a fantastic player, and he's not supposed to get signed for $3 million. This was for free for the Jets.
Yeah. Oh, it's a steal. They got him for free with the money they saved on Jamison Crowder.
Yep.
With some extra to boot.
Yeah. There is going to be just nothing but angry, hard-nosed play coming from the Jets this season on offense.
If you're a defense, you're going to have to stay disciplined.
100%.
As disciplined as you've ever been against any other team, because the moment you're not, they're going to be right by you scoring.
Yeah, it's exciting. This is the most excited I've been for a Jets offense in a very, very long time. All right, well, that's a good way to end, guys. This has been the Oklahoma Drill Podcast, running back position preview. Find us on Twitter at OKD Podcast. You can find me at @AndrewGolden_17. Guys, you know the drill.
You can find me, Matt, at Zazzy Jets.
And you can find me at Vitor Paiva M.
Thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week with our first defensive episode. We are going to be going through the defensive line. Going to be a very long, very fun show. We got a lot of players to talk about. Probably the strongest position group on the whole roster, I would say, is the defensive line. So, it's going to be a good one. Tune in next week. Thank you guys for listening. We will be back. Bye-bye.